Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be doing another top 10 episode ranking. I'll be doing Scooby doing Guess Who, so let's get straight into the video. Um this is just my opinion, and honestly it was really close. The first honorable mention I want to give to, it's really hard because there's so many episodes deserving of this spot. Um there's probably at least 10 to 15 episodes that were all deserving of this spot, and I feel like my top 10's quite well done, and I'll give my reasons. Um, Anyways, let's get straight into the video. My first honourable mention goes to Lost Souls of the Jungle River, guest starring Jason Sudeikis. This one got in to the honourable mentions just. There's probably at least 7, 8, 9, 10 that were all deserving of this position, but it just goes to Lost Souls Jungle River. The monster based off Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo. It's really good. I liked it a lot. Really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was well done. Coming in at 12th, well, my second honourable mention, I guess, is Revenge of the Swamp Monster. I prefer this one a lot over the 10, 15 that I've mentioned before, just because the mystery makes sense, and it's very interesting to see Shaggy's a caddy, seeming he was putt champion in What's New Scooby Doo. It's very interesting this episode. I found it good having Chris Paul in it as the guest star. I feel like he was probably a good way to start off the series, and it started off pretty well. My last honourable mention, and is very close to getting into the top 10, is Fear of the Fire Beast, guest starring Steve Buscemi. Great to see some Italian heritage shown in this episode. Seeming part of my family lives in Italy, or is from Italy. And it was great to see Sicily in it as well. And Steve Buscemi is a pretty good guest star, and the Fire Beast is a pretty good villain. There's a lot of episodes in this series where you just don't see much out of the endings, and they're just not enjoyable. And the ending for this one was a bit odd. She didn't go to jail at all, even though she burnt down her own building. And she was just doing it so people could see Steve Buscemi is a nice person. So some of the plots in this series are weird, and some of the endings are really not good. And yeah, let's get into my top 10. Speaking of ruining the ending, this 10th episode is probably the ending that ruins the episode of Scooby-Doo and Guess Who the most. And this one is Dance Matron of Mayhem. This episode was really good. Probably nearly even my favourite, I want to say, up until the ending. The Zabriskie Triangle was all fine and all, but, I just didn't really enjoy the ending when Maddie Ziegler got given the theatre, and Madame Zabriskie was just testing her to see if she was the right person to leave the theatre too. And that was just odd. And it just ruined the cursing part, because the cursing part was just such a fun scene. And the spookiness in this one's great. The piano organ at the start, absolutely superb. You don't normally see great spookiness in Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, and we saw some in this one. But I have to put it in 10th because of that ending. Coming at 9th place is the dreaded remake of Jekyll and Hyde. Glad they put this one and the Cher episode in, just so we could, see back to the new Scooby-Doo movies and see which one's better. This is the remake of Sandy Duncan's Jekyll and Hyde. I prefer the original over this one, just because you get to see more of Sandy Duncan, and not that much, but you get to see her character explored more. But this episode isn't amazing compared to that. It's well off from that episode, even though it's probably 1 or a 0.5 off it. It's just not as good. It's just simple as that. Yeah, Sandy Duncan's pretty similar in it. She still acts pretty similar as well. And I guess the monster isn't as good as the original. Even though the original didn't get much screen time at all, but yeah, it's just not much to say about this one. It was good, more towards the great, but it just wasn't amazing. Coming in at 8th spot, though, is a pretty good one. A Fashion Nightmare. This is a personal favourite for me. I thought it'd rank a little bit higher, to be honest. Now thinking about it, I feel like it should. Well, I feel like it should be ranking higher than this because the Haunted Mall is a superb setting and utilized really really well, much better than Toy Scary Boo from What's New Scooby Doo. Even though that was a great episode still. Uh, but the Haunted Elevator Ghost is a great villain. I really enjoyed him. I really enjoyed all the characters and their motives. I enjoyed Tim Gunn at parts of times though he wasn't great, especially when he was, giving his conclusion at the end, 1 to 2 minute conclusion about Shaggy's outfit. I really disliked that part, and I didn't like how it kept on happening throughout the episode. You see a massive chase in this episode, and in the middle of it, Tim and Shaggy are trying to find the right clothes for him, and I feel like that ruins it a little bit because there was some great spookiness in this episode as well. Um, Next is the Tale of Scoob. I really enjoyed this one a lot, mainly because of the mystery. Lucy Lou's great. I really enjoyed the mystery of the guy sneaking the emerald in the puzzle box, chucking it in the dumpster. Lucy Liu finds it. 20 years later, he gets out of jail, dresses up as Sculpture Monster to chase after her and scare her away so he can get the emerald back. Really enjoyed that. Probably the best mystery in the show. Lucy Liu made for a pretty good guest star. You saw some fun moments with her and Scooby. Saw some spooky scenes as well. The funny scene with the Sculpture Monster getting splattered each time by the pizza pies, and I thought that was a fun scene. And yeah, this is one of the better episodes. Again, I thought it would rank a little bit higher. Coming in at 6th spot is Share Scooby and the Cigar So See. Yeah, we know the mystery's been seen before. The plot's been seen before. The 2 episodes I've just said before this one are probably more unique. It's just this one isn't as... It's more refreshing in a way, and it's just got some better moments in the episode. Yeah, you get a little bit of spookiness, not much really. Not a lot. You get some fun scenes as well with Cher, Shaggy and Scooby, baking a cake, eating all the batter before Cher can cook it. You get Cher dressing up with Shaggy and Scooby to try and scare off the monster. That was great. You didn't get to see that in the original, the new Scooby-Doo movies. But again, I prefer this one over the remake of Jekyll and Hyde, and I also prefer The Secret of Shark Island over the Jekyll and Hyde from the original, the new Scooby-Doo movies. So, yeah, that's just where this one ranks. Coming at 5th was personally my favourite episode from this series at the start of the year, but it's dropped off a bit. It's Dark Diner of Route 66, featuring Axl Rose and the Mudmen. The Mudmen are probably everyone's favourite monsters from the series. It's just not my favourite episode. It doesn't even get a 10 out of 10. It was interesting though. I had some good parts in the episode. I definitely liked the mystery. Don't get me wrong, the mystery was great. It's just the start was a bit boring. I just found the start a bit boring. And, you didn't really see any spookiness in the second half, even though it was pretty good. But the only spooky scene you really saw was the spikes coming down on Shaggy, Scooby, and Axl. And, the way Axl defeated it was a little bit weird. But coming in at 4th spot is a 10 out of 10 episode. My favourite from season 2. That's Falling Star Man. This one's very unique. I really like the Scooby-Doo episodes where, there's no one around. You only see the one person but Terry Bradshaw and the gang. And that's the paranormal investigator. And it's obviously him. And yes, the ending is a bit silly with, Terry Bradshaw giving the money to the paranormal investigator, and yeah, that plot seems to be okay. and he really liked his alien costume and decided to give him money, and then they're up for pancakes afterwards, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. It was funny, but it was a little bit silly. But I give it a pass, and I really enjoyed a lot of the episode. The spookiness throughout the episode was superb. The gang, they're locked in the room with Terry Bradshaw in the house, knowing that the aliens are out there. The paranormal investigator comes and says you got to evacuate the area. That's really, really scary stuff. And Terry Bradshaw sticks out. The gang sticks with him. Then shortly after, the alien shows up. It's really, really spooky, and I really, really enjoyed it. My top three, though, are all from season one, and they're all up here for different reasons. First one is to put a hex on you, coming in at third place. Pretty good. The Hex Girls were really good in this episode. The thing that really I liked was the Hex Girls got a lot of screen time. You didn't see amazing amount of screen time in the Witch's Ghost, Legend of Vampire. You saw a lot in Fear of the Phantom, but you didn't see much in Dance of Undead and in the second episode featuring the gang and the Hex Girls and Mystery Incorporated. But this one was just a little bit better to see the Hex Girls there for longer, and I enjoyed that a lot. Esther Moonkiller's alright, I guess. Not a bad villain. Not the best villain, of course, but a pretty good villain. And what she was doing to try and get a grudge on the Hex Girls was really good as well, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed all the songs played by the Hex Girls in this episode, except for Fawn's little lullaby there. That was a little odd. But my second favourite episode from the series is up here for different reasons. Now You See Her, Now You Don't, mainly because it's Sia, and she's Australian. And the way she has her Australian rich house transported over to America is just genius. Because, the gang are staying in America for a lot of these episodes, and the way they did that was superb, and I really, really enjoyed Sia's house. Probably my favourite setting of the whole series. I really enjoyed Sia, Shaggy, and Scooby having fun in the house while Daphne, Fred, and Velma went on a stakeout looking for the Sia's doppelganger, who is a very, very iconic villain to the series. And I feel like everybody should love this episode, and if they don't, then that's just their problem, because this episode's just so well done, and yeah, it was done pretty well. My favourite episode, though, goes to The Wedding Witch of Wainsley Hall, and that's mainly due to spookiness. The Wedding Witch, one of my favourite villain from the series. Wainsley Hall's one of my favourite settings. Jeff Foxworthy, had absolutely no idea who he was before this. All I knew was he's a comedian, and he did his comedy quite well. I really enjoy the comedians in these series. I feel like, yes, their humour at times can take away from the spookiness, but their humour is good humour, and that's what I want to see, good humour. And the only series that really gives amazing good humour throughout the whole show is really Be Cool Scooby-Doo. But that was more looking for the humour. You see spookiness a lot, and What's New and Mystery Incorporated, and you get some in Be Cool as well, of course. But this was a really good episode in my opinion. The Wedding Witch was great. Wainsley Hall was great. I thought Jeff Foxworthy did really, really well for this episode. Comedians are great. I really liked the characters. Yeah, they weren't amazing, but they were still good. I liked their motives a lot, though, so that was another thing you can add on. I really like the opening scene where the gang are driving to the Wainsley Hall, and then the Wedding Witch tries to, scare him off. I really enjoyed most of the scenes showed in this episode, and is definitely my favourite from this series. Hope you enjoyed the video. There's another ranking episodes done. I've only got 2 more to go now, which is Be Cool and What's New, which is, in fact, the same amount I have in my actual ranking every single episode of Be Cool Scooby-Doo and What's New Scooby-Doo. So yeah, I really, really hope you enjoy. You'll probably get Be Cool after What's New. My What's New Scooby Doo one is nearly done. Watching all the episodes, then of course my whole ranking will come out soon, and the top 10 episodes will come out afterwards. But I hope you enjoyed the video. But stay tuned for some more top 10 episodes coming out soon, and yeah, enjoy.